So, like I say, the next week or so, I'm going to talk about how important law and grace dispensations affect the way you think, or the way you reflect outside. Law versus grace. The dispensation of law versus the dispensation of grace. Whichever one you're in affects your outlook and it affects your reflections. And it affects your actions as well. Like I'm sitting here chilling in this, I'm eating lunch, right? And I'm just sitting here chilling in this parking lot. I went over there and I normally don't get a Coke, but I drink one today. Every once in a while, it's okay. I don't think it's necessarily there's sugar in the Coke. I think there's a chemical in there, and I forget what it's called. ASP, some ER, aspargum or something like that. I think that's the chemical that causes people to have problems. I don't know if it's in the fountain drinks, but I know it's in the canned drinks. It'll mess you up. And so the whole truth is right here. Look how peaceful it is. Listen to the birds. If somebody brings chaos and not peace, they are the devil. Look how upright this stuff is. If they're not upright, and they're like Jerry Springer, they are the devil. The flesh creatures. Notice that bird right there. I think birds are like, the spirit realm can use a bird to see what's going on around you, I think. Can't prove that, but I think it's true. The spirit realm can see through a lot of different ways. When you rightly divide the Bible, I don't need to go over there and see what's happening over there. Because it's all happening right here. You've seen it in the past. See that bird? I don't know why I've had that happen here. In the last week, I've had birds just jump up on a pole right in front of me. Just out of the blue. Sometimes it's two of them. What does that mean? Anyway, you already know what's going on because you've seen it before. In the Matrix movie, he said, "Oh, it's deja vu." And they said, "What'd you say?" Deja vu. But trust me, everything that's happened in your life, you've seen it before. It might not be exactly the same, but most of the time it is. Like I've seen cones before. You know what a cone is. You know what a mailbox is. You know what a tree is. I don't even have to be in your city. You know what's going on. You know what a box truck is. You know what a tree service truck looks like. You know what a hotel is. You know people that drive red cars are trouble. Just watch, pay attention. Anybody drives a red car is in a little bit of trouble. Depends on where they are in their growth process. You're not judging them. Start taking notes, and you can actually see patterns. And if you're astute enough, you can see patterns about yourself. What kind of career do you do if you've been in it a long time? You look at the other people in your career, and you can know stuff about yourself. Look at them waving their hand. One red car waving their hand for another one. Look at that. See that? They're pulling in the hotel. You can tell by she's running around with nothing on, with no shoes on. You know what's going on. Then she runs to the guy. She gets out of that red car and runs over to that guy. You know what's going on. I don't have to tell you what's going on. If it's prostitution, if it's drinking and drugging, it's drug deals and street pharmacist. You already know what's going on. Street pharmacy, drug deals, prostitution, drinking, drugging, no knowledge, ignorant, sorcery, witchcraft, fighting, thievery, theft. I'm just telling you how it progresses down. You already know how it's going. They're not rising up, upright. They're going down, and it's a spiral down. And so God is patient with people, but they're actually destroying their own soul, their own mind, their own heart, their own everything. As soon as they cut off the drugs, cut off the drinking, get in their Bible, get right with God, pray, get saved, get born again, they can change their life. But they have to make the choice. And really all you have to do is, it's so easy. All you have to do is say, God, I'm going down the wrong path. I don't know how to get back on the right path. I'm asking you to do it for me because I can't do it anymore. And he loves that kind of prayer because you can't do it. The energy of the flesh is weak. You can't do jack. In all your prideful years, you thought you could do something and you can't do jack. If it's a hotel, it's about 80% people in that hotel are doing some trifling stuff, doing some shady stuff. I know. I've worked in this business most of my life, and I see them. I know their patterns. All the pimps act the same. All the prostitutes act the same. Certain kind of workers, you know who's connected to who by their words. Their words. If one person says a word here and somebody over here in another city says a word, you know they're connected. You know that the housekeeping, most of them are in sorcery and witchcraft. The dumber a person is, the more they go into witchcraft. Let me say that again. The more dumb a person is, the more they go into sorcery and witchcraft. Let me say it one more time. The more ignorant and dumb a person is, the more they go to the dark side and do sorcery and witchcraft because they're just dumb. Because they think they're higher than God. All they have to do is run to Jesus, get saved, and ask God to lead them, get in his word and rightly divide it, and you get the wisdom of God. Read Solomon wrote the Proverbs. Read Proverbs. The wisest man to ever live, read Proverbs. If you want wisdom, read Proverbs. The wisest man to ever live wrote Proverbs. King Lemuel, Proverbs 31. They talk about the Proverbs 31 woman, but what about the first part of Proverbs? Oh, King Lemuel, it's not for kings to drink wine. It's not for kings to give your strength unto women. It's not for kings to do this. That's the first part, but people don't read that part. They just read the end part because they don't want to see the part that shows them how evil they are. It's funny how the people want to read the Bible verses that tell them how great they are and how God is on their side. But what about the verses that show their flesh mind and their flesh and their sin is so wicked and vile? They don't want to read that part. They just want the blessings, but they don't want to get the scourgings. Though he slay me, yet will I trust him. If you have not got a spanking from God, then you're not his, you're a bastard, Hebrews 12. You can fool a lot of people, but when a saint comes up to you face to face, you're talking about somebody who knows their Bible, who's meditated on truth, and when they face off with you, and you're trying to manipulate and shift and change and project and hide and play games and drama, do you not think they see it from the get-go? They saw it from the get-go. The only reason they stayed around you is to try to see if they could pull you out of the miry clay. But they can't, because you're so stubborn and prideful and rebellious that you have to go through the dark night of the soul once, twice, 2, 3, 4, 5 until you get it. You're not going to get it until you humble yourself and say, woe is me. Woe is me. And you don't point to nobody else. You just say, woe is me. And you say, God, I don't deserve anything. If you can just save me, I'm just happy to be saved. But most people never get there. Most people worried about their outward show and their house and their car and their bloodline and their lineage and their image and all. And a lot of people, they're trying to live off the image of their parents or their grandparents, and they hadn't done jack. Their grandparents learned how to sacrifice and get to where they're at through sacrifice, but they don't want to do that. And the grandparents were worked as a team. The woman and the man worked as a team to build something. But now they're just living off the vapors of their grandparents or parents or somebody, and that vapor is just going to go poof. And they're going to say, what happened? What happened? Tell you what happened. You can appropriate the righteousness of Christ by faith, but you can't appropriate the bloodline by faith. You're going to have to get yourself right. I don't know what to tell people. I really don't have time for it. And once I make a decision to cut somebody off for good, I mean, finally just say, okay, there's no hope. There's no progression. There's no accountability. It's just chaos and trouble. I don't even, like my neighbor across the street, my Jerry Springer neighbor across the street. She said, hey, call me by my name. I said, yeah. She said, my AC's broke. Can you fix it? Well, what happened to your husband, your son, and your grandson that y'all ran off? And why don't you can't call the AC guy because it's going to be too expensive. So you got 3 women in there that can't fix you. They can't. They told me blah blah blah. I said, well, go in the house, find that white pipe, and put something down it and hit it with a hammer. No, it's all under the house. I ain't crawling under your house. Call your son. Call your brother. Pull up a YouTube video. Tell them they don't want to do it. They want somebody else to do it, but then when you help them, they forget you helped them, and then they try to make a lot of noise to keep you from sleeping. You think I'm going to help them? I've helped them before, and I'm not playing that game anymore. The ones who just take and take and take and take and take and take, I know what they are, and I'm not helping them anymore. I help them a few times, and after that, once I see their character and what their game, I don't go back to that. I'm not dumb. You destroy your own life, and then you want to vampire off of somebody else who's working hard and diligent and sacrifices. And you want to go over there and live it all up, the world, get all in, do what the world does, the flesh, do all the flesh stuff and the pride of life. And then when somebody who's just humble and going about their business and sacrificing, you want to take their blessings onto you? I don't think so. You filled yourself with the world, the flesh, pride of life. Now suffer. Take it like a human who's under scourging of their own choices and consequences. See, what you're trying to do is you're trying to run from your own consequences, your own bad choices. And you think somebody else is going to step in and take away the pain and the scourging and the trouble, and you're not going to have to do anything, but you're going to throw it onto them. No, I don't care if it's a man or a woman. You're going to have to pay for your choices. Well, I'll come back and I'll do right this time. Yeah. You wouldn't make it through boot camp. You wouldn't make it through my boot camp, because I'm going to hold you accountable for everything you say that's wrong. For 60 days, 90 days, you wouldn't make it. Blah, blah, blah. Well, that don't line up with the Bible. Why'd you say that? Blah, blah, blah. That don't line up with the Bible. Why would you say that? Well, that thinking is wrong thinking. That's stinking thinking. Why would you think that way? You wouldn't make it. I'm sorry. I'll never do it again. I will just change. All right, we'll do a 90-day boot camp. Let's see if you make it. Blah, blah, blah. That don't matter. That's not, where'd that come from? That's something your mama would say. That's not Bible. Blah, 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 blah. That's the world. Blah, blah, blah. That's the pride of life. Blah, blah, blah. Your whole mind is convoluted. No wonder you've ran into trouble. You're not going to make it through the 90-day boot camp because everything about you is upside down. And your pride and your ego and your lack of being able to take rebuke, exhort, reprove. You can't take reproof. You can't take rebuke. You can't even be exhorted, which is a good thing, because you even take that wrong. I exhort you to do this. That's a good thing. But you're going to get mad because you think somebody knows, they think they know better than you. Well, they probably do. So, learn from them. If the guru knows more than you, sit down and zip the lip and learn. But if just like the Doctor Who movie, where he was a surgeon, he thought he was the top dog surgeon. I've actually just seen this in real life. I lived that out here recently. So the guy's a major doctor, right? Dr. Strange, not Doctor Who, Dr. Strange. So Dr. Strange is a great doctor, making all that money, nice car, nice house. He's got it going on. He has a car wreck and his hands go down. And his pride. So he's got to get his hands to work again, because that's his pride is being destroyed. So he goes over there to the guru and he knocks on the door, and the guru says, well, there's another way to do things, you know. First of all, you got to humble yourself. What do you mean? Blah. And she kicks him out. The guru kicks him out, and he's standing there at the door knocking. Let me back in. I'm dying over here. And you hear the prideful doctor whose hands are not working, so he's lost his whole everything. He's saying, let me in, I'm sorry. And he sits out there in the rain 2 or 3 days, 5 days, 7 days. He's still out there. And then finally the guru said, okay, I think they've had enough pain. Let them back in. comes back in, and he falls down on his knees, says, teach me. All right, the first thing you need to do is zip your lip and start listening. And if I rebuke you or exhort you, it's not to hurt you, it's to help you. And if you take it as a hurt, then that's because that's your whole problem. You think you're smarter than everybody else.